You ever wonder what every successful person really has in common? It's not luck, it's not timing, it's not even talent. It's belief. Straight up borderline delusional belief. The kind that don't make sense to regular people. The kind that keeps you up at 3 in the morning replaying the same exact idea inside of your head because you know whatever it is on your mind has to work while nobody else is believing in you. That's the difference. That's what separates dreamers from doers, talkers from legends, and people who really get to the bag. Anybody who's ever built anything that changed the world, they thought that this person was crazy first, but that individual kept moving anyway. Success ain't born out of comfort. It's forged under pressure. It's built in those seasons when everything is going wrong. Money's tight, time's short, and your back is against the wall. But here's what the greats understood. Pressure is not punishment, it's preparation. See, the average man folds when the weight hits. But the ones who make it, they adjust under pressure. They adapt when the plan collapses. They pivot when doors close. They don't cry about it. They simply recalibrate. Every successful person has been there, that lonely stage when nobody sees the vision but them. That's when the real work begins. That's when consistency turns into faith. That's when you stop waiting for motivation and start moving with conviction. Look at Colonel Sanders. He didn't build KFC in his 20s. He wasn't some Silicon Valley startup kid. He was in his 60s, broke, divorced, frustrated. Most people would have tapped out. But instead of quitting, he packed up his recipe, started frying chicken at gas stations, and went door to door trying to get restaurants to sell it. You know how many times he got told no? Over 1,000. Let that sink in. 1,000 rejections. But you know what he did? He kept believing. He kept hustling. He kept adjusting. He kept frying that chicken like somebody, somewhere, would eventually taste destiny. That's delusional belief. That's faith with grease on his hands. That's what all successful people have in common. They don't measure progress by people's opinions. They measure it by persistence. Reverend Ike used to say, if you can think it, you can have it. And people laughed at him because he was preaching prosperity when most folks were still out there preaching poverty. But he didn't care. He got kicked out the church. He believed his words could shift people's reality, and they did. He understood that the mind is the original workshop. You build it in your head before you ever hold it in your hands. That's why successful people guard their imagination like it's sacred. While others complain, you know what successful people do? They visualize. While average people doubt, successful people declare. While others wait, successful people work. That's the energy of belief, not arrogance, but alignment. Knowing you were built for way more and refusing to settle for less. Being crazy enough to follow through. Henry Ford did not invent the car. He invented the process. The assembly line changed the world because he refused to believe that innovation had to be complicated. When people told him it couldn't be done, his words were, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's belief at its core. You become what you constantly tell yourself. Most people spend their entire life arguing for their own limitations. Successful people argue over their possibilities. They talk themselves into greatness day in and day out. Ford's genius wasn't just engineering, it was repetition. He kept refining, testing, failing, and adjusting until his system finally worked. That's what success really looks like. Belief, repetition, and patience. Then you got Dale Carnegie, the man who taught the world how to win friends and influence people. Dale believed every person had potential locked inside of them. They just needed someone to believe in them first, and he filled that slot. He wasn't rich when he started teaching. He didn't have social media or fancy marketing. He just understood human nature. People want to feel seen, heard, and valued. He built an entire empire off the simplest concept: treat people right, help them grow, and your own success multiplies. And that principle still runs the world today. That's another thing all successful people have in common. They know how to lift others while they climb. They don't hoard wisdom. They multiply it because they know the secret. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll never have to chase what you want. Here's the part that separates the average from the extraordinary. Successful people are delusional, not in a crazy sense, in a faithful sense. They believe in things that don't exist yet. They see finished products, while people outside of them only see blueprints. They talk like it's already done and it's already theirs. They walk like it's completed. They're not lying to themselves. They're leading themselves. They speak it until they see it. And because of that, they move with a confidence that makes people uncomfortable. You got to be a little delusional to start over at 60 years old, to build an empire out of nothing, to bet on yourself when everybody else calls it unrealistic. But that's the only way that things get done. Nobody believed in the light bulb until they seen it light up a room. Nobody believed in airplanes until they saw them fly. Nobody believed in themselves until they decided to believe in themselves. And once you believe, like really believe, quitting stops being an option. You got to fall in love with your dream. Every man I just named had one thing on lock: repetition. They weren't perfect. They were consistent. They understood the assignment. They understood that greatness is built in the routine, not the reward. It's the same motion repeated until it becomes second nature. That's why you can't fake it. You can post it, talk about it, manifest it, but if you don't do it daily, it dies in your imagination. Successful people don't chase perfection. They chase progress. They know that every rep, every failure, every assignment stacks up. The work compounds when the results are invisible. That's why they don't panic when nothing's happening. They trust the process because they know that they are the process. I hear men say it all the time: I missed my window. No, you didn't. You stopped believing. You're not too old. You're not too late. You're just not consistent enough yet. Colonel Sanders was in his 60s. Reverend Ike started from a storefront. Henry Ford failed 5 times before he built his company. Dale Carnegie didn't write his first bestseller until his 40s. Success doesn't check your birth certificate. It checks your belief system. If you're still breathing, you still got action. You still in the game. The only expiration date on your dream is the one that you stamp on it. When you truly believe in what you're building, you move different. Your energy changes. Your entire tone changes. People feel it before they understand it. You stop explaining yourself because your presence already speaks purpose. You start walking with a quiet confidence because you know you're doing what you're built for. That's what draws opportunities, not chasing, but becoming. You attract what you believe you deserve. And when that belief is rooted in purpose, everything starts aligning. Here's the real secret. No matter how much time passes, the recipe I'm chopping it up with y'all about, it never changes. It's always been belief, consistency, patience, adjusting under pressure, faith in the unseen. That's the timeless formula. That's the secret. That's what connects every successful man from Ford to the men today. You can change the technology, the platforms, the culture, but those 5 ingredients, Those don't expire. The tools might evolve, but the truth stays the same. Believe, work, adjust, repeat. So I'll ask you this. Where have you stopped believing? What dream did you put on the shelf because a little time passed by? What skill did you choose not to sharpen because life got too heavy for you? Who convinced you that it was too late? You. Because every successful man started exactly where you're standing. In doubt, in debt, and in disbelief. But something in them refused to die. That's the part that's calling you right now. That's that little voice in your head that says, keep going. Listen to it. Feed it. Because that belief, that stubborn, delusional faith is exactly what's going to take you across the finish line. Don't wait for people to understand what you building. Most of them won't until it's done. Just keep showing up, keep adjusting, keep refining the recipe. Because success ain't about luck, it's about endurance. It's about staying in the fight long enough to outlast everybody else that quit. That's what makes the 1% the 1%. So what do all successful people have in common? They believe in themselves when nobody else does. They adjust under pressure instead of folding. They stay consistent when it's absolutely boring. They stay faithful to the plan when it's dark. They take rejection like reps in the gym that builds muscle. They're a little delusional, a lot disciplined, and completely devoted to their purpose. And when the world finally catches on, they don't even celebrate like everybody else. They just smile because they knew it was going to happen all along. So whenever you're doing your thing, you broke, you tired, you doubting, understand this. The men who changed the world were once right where you are. Only difference is they never stopped believing. They never gave up. So go ahead. I'm telling you to be delusional, be consistent, accept being misunderstood, and be relentless, because one day they're going to study your story the same way that they studied these men. The same conversation we had tonight about them, the world is going to have about you. The man who believed when it didn't make sense. The man that adjusted when he was under the pressure and had the pressure of the world on his shoulders. That's what all successful people have in common. If you found value in this, grab one of my books in the description or buy me a cup of coffee. Either is appreciated. Support the channel so we can keep growing strong. Hopefully you walked away with more value than you came in with before you clicked on this video, and we brightened your day. So with that said, we're going to end it like we always do. All gas, no brakes. Lock in. Peace.